So today I just feel like playing. I don't feel like doing anything special. So I've got myself a piece of 150 grams. It's actually sketchbook paper, but it actually works well with mixed media. A little spritz bottle with water, and I have some watercolor paints, and I have a little glass jar. So let's see what we can do when we just want to have a day just to play. No particular theme in mind, nothing specific, just having a little bit of fun. And this is good for one's brain, just to be able to play around. So I'm going to start off, I think, just by working with some fairly earthy colors. Yeah, maybe I'll just spritz my umber and raw sienna. Let's just see how we go there. And I'm just kind of going to use my brush just to create marks as I go. Obviously, where you put quite a lot of water, the color will bleed out, and you can soften it with water. So I tend to always work slightly wet. That's just my preferred way of working. Other people I know work much more controlled with watercolors, but that's not my style. So now just playing, just put a little bit of this here and there. The wetter the paper is, the more the color will spread, and the drier the paper is, the less the color will spread. So it depends what you want it to do, but I would like it just to do its own thing, for want of a better description. I'm going to take up some raw sienna. Quite like this. Got quite a nice sort of tonal value to it. And you can see I'm not really paying too much attention about brush strokes. I'm not paying too much attention about how much paint is on here. I'm just literally having a bit of fun. Alright, so let's spritz this. And it will get very wet, so don't worry about that. Then I'm going to go in with some ochre, which is the yellow in the range of the watercolor paints. That's more earthy. Yellow is a really interesting color because it can actually take something that's very vibrant like a pink and actually soften it completely. So you know, quite often you get those sort of dusty pinks and that they've, generally speaking, got a little bit of ochre in them. Right, so let's just play a little bit with what we've got here and just move these colors around a bit. Be careful always just to make sure you're using the bristles on your brush, because if you rub up against this metal part, which is called a ferrule, you'll find that you start to pick up lines from that in your paper, which is not necessarily always a bad thing, but can look a little bit distracting. Right, now I'm going to pick my paper up, and I'm just going to allow the colors to spread. You will see that as they spread and they mix like this, that they do blend. Get some down to the edge here. If your paints and things are really dry, you're not going to be able to do too much of this moving around. But because my paints are so wet, I am actually able to allow them to move. The colors have softened quite substantially because of it. And I'm just going to link up some of these big white spaces. I don't mind white spaces. They're really good in any kind of art. It just gives you like almost like a pause in the actual paint. But you don't want to have too many of them, because that can also just be distraction. Oh, I've got a hair here. There we go. Right, so let's just agitate this a little bit more. The colors, instead of being that really dark color that they were initially, have now subdued quite substantially. Maybe just put a little bit here. Mix in a bit here. Right. Comes a time when you have to stop playing. So I'm going to let this sit and dry. The colors will subdue a little bit, they'll soften. That's just the nature of watercolors, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like when it's dry. You will notice as the paint starts to dry on the surface that it becomes less shiny. So if I hold this up to the camera, you'll be able to see that the wet spots are very shiny, and as it's starting to dry it becomes more opaque. And I'm using my hairdryer. You could use a heat tool on a low setting just to start the process of this. So this is my design dried. You will see that I have got quite subtle colors here compared to what it looked like when it was wet, and I will use this nicely as a background and something for a card, or even for a project and junk journaling. I'm going to now take this piece of card and put it under some weighted books just so that it dries 100% completely flat. It is dry completely to the touch, but it's got a few little kinks, so it's going to be easier when it's flat. So please make sure that you do that as well.